This is the Discover Seward County Podcast, where we explore the past, present, and future of Seward County and the people who make it great. Hello there. Welcome to episode 2 of Discover Seward County. Today we have some very interesting content for you. We have what we're calling Battle of the Brews. We sent JJ Metschke and Pat Coldiron all across Seward County to review coffee and coffee drinks. Sneak peek, Pat is a rock star. Everyone knows her. Everyone loves her. And JJ pays a very special visit to we'll call it a very unexpected coffee shop. Yeah, we'll call it a coffee shop. In addition, we also have some really interesting information on the world's largest time capsule right here in Seward. One of those things that we probably all have passed by and maybe just sort of becomes something we're used to, something that's just kind of fills the peripheral. But this is the year where we find out a lot more about it for this 4th of July. So in addition to some interesting archival history, we also have sat down for a conversation with Trish Davisson-Johnson, whose dad was the originator of the time capsule project. So we get to learn a little bit more of what this is like for her as the one who's managing it. And so that's what we got coming up for you today. If you'll excuse me, I need to go and make sure JJ and Pat are okay. They consumed a lot of caffeine. Last time I saw JJ was shimmying up the fire escape and Pat was trying to shout him down from the corner. So I'm going to go check on them and we'll check in with you guys soon.
So, you want to go on a coffee date?
Shall we? Let's do it. Let's do it.
Pat and I finally made it outside, so I'm going to take my beautiful date into neutral ground.
But it's awfully hot out here, JJ.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay, here we go. Good morning.
Good morning.
You have coffee here?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have good coffee?
Yes. And you can have a plain shot, you can have a little bit of milk.
This is probably the only time in our lives that we would say, no extra shot, please. I love hot cappuccinos with lots of flavoring in it. You got one of those?
Yes, we do have one of those.
Okay.
Anything else for you?
I don't think so.
Pat, put your wallet away, okay?
Yeah, I didn't bring my purse. How do you like that? Thank you. Except I'm not going to be able to drink this fast enough.
Okay.
All right. Great.
Wow.
So, yeah.
You
So
made Pat smile.
we can truthfully say this is darn good.
So we finally made it to Bagels and Joe. So, Pat, what do you expect here? What?
Good cup of coffee.
Good cup
I
of
bet
coffee.
you.
Let's see if it matches neutral ground.
I like bagels and Joe. So, but this is where we come now, huh?
Yeah. What are you gonna get?
We're going to ask the barista story.
That's a great idea.
So,
I would probably say our caramel latte is probably one of the most popular drinks.
okay.
Do you want to get that? You want to try that out?
Sure, we will.
I take the first drink this time.
Yeah. That way you don't have to have my germs. How is it?
That is darn good. All yours.
All right, are you ready, young man?
Not really, but let's do it.
Let's hit the road. Okay.
Say what you want. What do you usually get at Scooters?
Oh my gosh. Are you ready, JJ?
Yes.
I'd love to come through Scooters. Let's have a caramelicious hot coffee with oatmeal. Hold the whipped cream, please.
Did you get all that?
One more time, so sorry. Perfect, of course. Anything else for today?
I don't think so. I think that, well, should we let JJ have something?
I think we're good for now.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
That for you.
Oh, thank you. That looks so good. My kids get me a gift card to Scooters, and I love it. All right, thank you.
Have a good day.
Uh-huh.
All right. Would you? I'm not gonna make you repeat it, so just drink it. Just drink it.
Okay. This is so darn good.
So darn good.
It is. It's just great. You know what? We do have just excellent coffee shops in Seward. But it might be time to call it a day now, you know? This has been pretty much, so.
But we just did Seward itself. We got to do Seward County now.
Okay, we gotta hurry up. Hooray!
Now we are in beautiful, rainy Milford, Nebraska. We're gonna check out the dragonfly, and my camera's getting wet. So come on, Mom, let's go.
How you guys doing?
Good.
You guys recommend? What do you?
The iced caramel macchiato was our most popular.
Okay.
I like an iced mocha with caramel foam.
Let's do the second one you said. I'm not gonna try to pretend to repeat that.
Okay. There's that for
Thank you, appreciate it. Oh, 8:17, I better fly after this. This is my iced mocha with caramel hold foam. It's the 10th take, I had to pronounce that. And I love it. It's pretty good. Pat, I miss you so much. It's pretty rainy out, so I hope Brightside Bakery can cheer me up. Wow. Can I just get a single cup of black coffee, please?
Probably $2.
See, Sweet Tea's gotta reimburse me for this.
Do you need cream or sugar or anything?
No thank you. Appreciate it. So I just put the mixing spoon in my mouth. So. I think the only thing that would make my day brighter is if Pat was here right now. But other than that, this is phenomenal. So we've been driving around Cordova for like 35 minutes and I'm freezing. So what does every small town have? A co-op. So we're gonna go get coffee from in here. Look at this right here, wow. Oh, we'll have to make a new batch, huh? Yeah. How's this thing work?
Oh, it's working.
This is the type of...
Get money back on this,
we'll send you a check for a couple bucks, how about that?
Cordova native. I'm going to tell you this story.
Okay.
Picked this up on an auction for $5 and brought it up here and gave it to us. Do you like caramel or vanilla?
Now we're at the Farmers Co-op. We got their hot core over here. Look at this. We're gonna do a shot with that later too. This is the official taste test of the Farmers Co-op in Cordova coffee. Let's try it.
Yeah, that's good.
My tongue is burnt. I should have put some ice in there. Coffee's pretty special, so this place is special as well. I approve. Pat's missing out.
2 hours later.
Pat.
What? What?
All right, Pat, JJ, we sent you guys all over Seward County in what we called the Battle of the Brew.
Me all over Seward County. Pat took a nap
Yes, see.
Don't let him get away with that. Don't let him get away with that, Pat. So you guys tested coffee drinks from all over Seward County. Before we get into any kind of ranking, which we're going to do, so be prepared, tell me about your overall experience. What was it like going out, testing the coffee all over? JJ, we'll start with you.
Actually, I'm going to start with Pat because she just went on she went on a little rant just now before we started recording. But Pat, we took you around kind of the corner of Seward, downtown Seward there. What did you tell me what you just told me before we were recording?
You know what? I was so surprised because I get stuck on my little corner on the north part of town here, and I thoroughly enjoyed getting downtown Seward again. I didn't realize I was going to enjoy it so much. I was really excited to learn that we have 3 great coffee shops in downtown Seward with quality coffee.
Yeah, I agree. So it was cut from the editing itself, but Pat actually went to see all her friends in downtown. We went to Chapters, we went to a few of the boutiques too. But Pat's like, "Come record this, come record this." So Pat went out to tell all her friends that she was out on the town while we were recording,
making the rounds.
Yeah, we were, and you know what? I sit over at my place and I tell my guests to come downtown, and I try to remember to tell them, go here and stop there and stop there. And it was so fun to stop and I kind of remembered again from 20 years ago or 10, 15 years ago that it was fun to stop at all the shops. Like to stop and say hi to Kelly at the bookstore and Allure and all of we really do have a nice little downtown square.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody does a great job running their businesses. Let's do a quick recap. Where did you guys go?
So Pat and I, we started Neutral Grounds. Then we made our way over to Bagels and Joe. And then I let Pat, it's Pat's convertible. It's Pat's car. She just bought it. But we took Pat over to the Scooters drive-thru too. So we had a hard time pronouncing a lot of the suggestions that the baristas gave us. But did you have a personal favorite out of those 3 at all?
It just goes against my grain. I cannot say that I have a personal favorite. I just can't.
They're all darn good.
They are darn good. Yes.
I warned you guys about the language. Let's chill out.
I know.
Come on.
I'll have to clean up my vocabulary.
Clean it up, Pat.
And you know what? It was really kind of nifty, the expertise that goes into some of these and the knowledge and about the coffee grounds and grinding them, and then some of them are wholesaling them and selling their coffee grounds right on premises. Pretty cool.
It is very cool. JJ, where did you go?
So I had the privilege of going around Seward County itself. I started off in Milford. I went to the Dragonfly. Shout out Mallory Gregory. She owns the place. Phenomenal owner. A lot of Seward residents, like, when's the next time you're going to go to Milford, right? But if your kid has a baseball game out there, or you're in the area, please go to the Dragonfly. It is phenomenal. It's nice. It's clean. It's very well done. So I recommend going there. Brightside Bakery, I went to in Beaver Crossing too. Very nice place. They actually do host tea parties as well. So if you got some daughters or anything that's interested in that, I would recommend giving them a call. And seeing how that could work out for your family or a party or something like that. And then finally, I went to Cordova, and I don't think I've ever been to Cordova in my life, right there smack in the corner of the county. But I just walked in the farmers co-op. They're like, what are you doing here? What is this? But no, that bit especially was phenomenal. I thought that was pretty cool to have coffee with. His name was actually Roger. I think I got your card right here. Yeah, Roger Miller. So shout out to Roger. Thanks for letting us invade the farmers co-op in Cordova.
How was the coffee at the co-op?
It actually burnt my mouth. Like I said in the bit, I go, my tongue is burnt. It was numb for like a week.
That was for
so
real? That was not a bit. That was
need
a
some
real
insurance through Sweet Tea or something because this is ridiculous.
Got to insure the moneymaker, right? Okay, let's get down to it. JJ, the places you went to, who had the best cup of coffee? We're not going to rank worst because I don't think we don't want that. We don't want that kind of noise on us.
True.
But for your money, who had the best cup of coffee?
I would. You know what? When Dragonfly hits the S&P 500, that's where my money goes. I'm buying up that stock. That's the Dragonfly, in my opinion. That's my day one.
All right. And Pat, you're going to say, are you going to remain non-committal? You can't commit. There was no best cup of coffee?
Now I have to admit that I'm not really a coffee drinker.
Okay, what did you enjoy?
I like my coffee with about a quarter cup of flavor and creamer and lots of sugar and that kind of, with maybe just a little bit of coffee. I really enjoyed Neutral Grounds coffee. That's as far. I'm not making any more
You enjoyed it. That's good.
I enjoyed it.
Also, as a coffee purist myself, I drink my coffee straight black. What I will say is that you don't like coffee, you like ice cream.
Pretty much, kind of.
Nothing wrong with that. I just want to be clear for the coffee purists out there like myself. All right. What about which environment, JJ, was the most fun? And we'll say fun / inviting.
Inviting. I think I got to go back to Cordova because the Greg in general was just so welcoming, or Roger, I should say Roger. Sorry, Roger. Roger was so welcoming, and I made the comment. I'm like, I don't think you guys get very many visitors because they seem to be very excited for us to be there than they should normally. But I think just the small town, which is everything Seward County is, just in general, was.
I imagine not a lot of walk-in traffic.
No, not at all. Not like we took Pat around downtown. Not at all.
Right.
You know, Josh, I got a comment.
Please.
Okay. I am so glad. The Highway Patrol nearly arrested me in Cordova. And I am so glad. Yes.
Please. I am all ears, Pat.
But I'm so glad that you made the effort to go to Milford and to go to Beaver Crossing in Cordova. I love all of our little towns in Seward County. And I went over there, and I didn't know that all the streets were named in Cordova after figures in Homer's The Iliad. And so you have these streets named there, and I was driving my little minivan around Cordova, reading each street sign, and pretty soon I noticed this highway patrolman following me around. So I got out of town fast.
So just so we're clear, you took suspicious behavior and then doubled down and made it more suspicious.
Yeah, what were you doing out there, Pat, huh?
You know, that's what I'm exploring Seward County. And I love, when all else fails, I just love to get in my minivan and get out of town and get out in rural Seward County. And I went down and I warned the county sheriff that I do a lot of exploring around in Seward County.
Is that something you have to warn people about?
And
I didn't know that.
Because, you know what? In rural Seward County, everybody knows their neighbors. And
this
they
is
know
true.
Everybody. And when I went into the sheriff's office, I did go in there for something else too. And I told him, I says, just in case, you know. He says, Pat, you've already been reported. So I go, oh dear. So
did he tell you the nature of the report? Was it for the exploring or something
there was
else?
A suspicious car, little blue minivan.
No way.
Round and round. Yes.
Y'all heard it here first. Pat Goldiron.
Pat's name in the news
fugitive.
Week 4.
So anyway,
most charming headshot ever.
Yeah. So anyway.
That's wonderful. What about you, Pat? Which had the best environment of the coffee shops you went to? That was the most inviting.
Environments. You know what? There, of course, Bagels and Joe and Neutral Grounds, and it was so interesting over at Neutral Grounds because it just got this new piece of equipment to grind bigger lots of coffee. So that was kind of cool. I always enjoy going through scooters too because they are always so friendly.
And they do a great job.
They do.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
we're lucky.
Yeah,
We've got
absolutely.
3 great spots
Agreed.
right here in town. Plus, we got Milford, Beaver Crossing, and the co-op over in Cordova.
Yes, I
Love
mean,
it.
go hit up the co-op. I'm sure they want even more foot traffic. How about which had the friendliest baristas?
The friendliest baristas. Well, when we went to the Dragonfly, I was going to ask for the girl's number the barista was working, but I think she has a boyfriend. So
What makes you think that? Let's dig in a little bit.
I have a team of researchers, my sisters, that I'm like, go find her Instagram, go. But I think she has a boyfriend. So.
We're gonna have to cut this because you're stalking her. You're stalking
No,
that
I'm
poor girl.
just
We can't
using
use
my
any of this.
resources to
Stalk her.
No. See, Pat and I were, but you and I are both gonna be locked up after this episode, huh? Yeah.
This is the end of this career.
I'm gonna be the only one standing after this. I don't think I've done anything illegal.
So,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. of
I
course.
was about to say something, but I can't say that.
and I think in Seward here, I think they were kind of put off just a little bit by the cameras and the giggling
everyone
and the
freaks
carrying
out when
on.
they see a camera, especially in a small town,
Yeah.
which I understand. But
For the purposes of science, I have to ask: were the coffee shops aware? Because I didn't. I played no part in this.
I had to do the whole spreadsheet and calling everyone and times. I'm like, is it okay that if
But the baristas maybe weren't potentially.
no,
aware.
they had no idea. So the
so
owners
this
knew,
was-
but this was a surprise.
That's even better. Observation changes things, right?
Exactly.
Like very.
It's
good.
kind of like Pat when Pat records because Pat's like, "Am I doing okay? I don't know." I'm like, "Pat, you are phenomenal. You are the star. You're doing great."
You are.
That's how the baristas are too. I have to tell them, like, "You guys are fine. This is just a camera."
What about you, Pat? Who had the friendliest baristas or staff in general?
Well, after we alarmed them and all, you know what? I think the scooters.
After we traumatized them,
after
who
we
recovered the
traumatized-
best?
Yeah, I think scooters. They're kind of used to like so many folks driving through that they're a little bit more used to a variety of folks coming through.
Yeah.
And so, but both of the folks over at Bagels and Joe's and Neutral Grounds were welcoming.
Yes. Great staffs. The one question I've always wanted to ask the baristas at Scooters is, this happened to me one time, but it seems like a lot in the course of 4 years. There was a dude standing in the drive-thru ahead of me, and I've always wanted to ask them, how often does that happen? Is that a common
When your car
occurrence?
breaks down, how else are you supposed to go through the drive-through, right?
Oh, I mean, he got his order and then just walked on down the sidewalk. So I'm wondering how often that happens. Doesn't seem like a great idea to me, but they served him, so I guess that says something about the level of service they provide.
That's where Pat and I are going to go for lunch. We're going to walk through this drive-through again.
Just the two of you with the camera. All right. Well, the time has come. How about each of you rank each coffee shop you went to on a scale of 1 cup to 5 cups? 1 being wouldn't recommend it, 5 being
I just
great
can't-
experience.
I can't do that.
I know. We know you're
I
not
just
going to give
can't.
anybody 1 cup, Pat. But
I am.
not everybody's a 5. Let's be honest. Not everyone is a 5-star. So we'll let JJ start. JJ, so you went to 3, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, start with, where do you want to start?
I got to go 5 for Dragonfly. I've been talking it
Dragonfly
up
gets
all
a
day.
5.
Give me 4 for Brightside Bakery. And give me Co-op. Give me Co-op a 6. Co-op
6
was a
off
6.
the scale.
Was phenomenal.
Shout out to the
even though it burnt
Co-op.
my mouth.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's part of it. It's part of the
That's what
story
paid me
now.
to say that. So.
It's a story now, right? What they pay you in grain?
I can't off camera.
Okay, we'll talk about it. I'll get my cut later.
Now, JJ, we're gauging, not the barista, we're gauging the cup of coffee.
Yes, I forget that sometimes.
Yes,
Just
yeah.
reminding me. I appreciate it.
It all factors in, right?
Yeah.
So, Pat, when you consider everything, what would you rank yours at a scale of 1 to 5?
Okay, I can't. I
I'm
got
putting you on the spot. I know.
Okay, because a lot of mine depends on how much flavoring we have in them and how much sugar and how
Perfect.
much cream. Yeah. And so I think all 3 of them got a 5.
All three got a
I did.
5. My goodness. Wow. So we really do. We are blessed with an overabundance of caffeine, which sounds great to me.
Exactly.
Well, thank you guys for doing the work. Thank you for getting out there. Thank you to all of our coffee shops. And we'll see you guys on the next battle of the whatever we do next. We'll have to come up with something. All right. Battle of the B&Bs. It'll be a short one.
We'll work on this. All right.
Thanks, guys. This episode of the Discover Seward County Podcast is brought to you by the Seward County Visitors Bureau. If you're bored of the same old vacations or looking for a small town adventure, the Seward County Visitors Bureau invites you to come visit Seward County, Nebraska, where friendly faces, local flavor, and unforgettable festivals await. Whether you're strolling Seward's charming downtown, catching the famous 4th of July celebration, or exploring hidden gems, there's always something to experience. Plan your visit today at sewardnebraskatourism.org. Your getaway starts here. We are here with Miss Trish Davisson-Johnson here at the wonderful Davison Furniture. And we're going to learn a little bit more about the Seward Time Capsule, a super unique feature of Seward and something I personally would love to learn more about. I'm fairly new to the area, only been here with my family for about 5 years, and my kids are little, so we're in our young family phase. So I would love it if you wouldn't mind talking a little bit about the history of the capsule and how you're connected with it.
Sure. The capsule was put down in 1975 by my father, Harold Davison. Since about 2000, I've been known as the Keeper of the Crypt. My parents died in 1999, and at that point it was obvious that somebody had to take over. In his final paperwork, it said that he left me the time capsule and his house. I didn't especially want or need either responsibility, but somebody had to, and that is me. The capsule went in 1975, was planned for a year prior to that. He made the big announcement, and he said if all 3 car dealers would donate a car, he would make it big enough for all 3 cars. If he was buying one, he was going to buy the cheapest one he could get. He bought the cheapest one he could get. I'm very glad they didn't give him cars, or can you imagine trying to get this thing up today? That just would not work.
Yes.
Our long-term goal, we have to get the pyramid off because we cannot open the hatch on the capsule, which is 36 inches by 36 inches on top and 28 inches by 28 at the bottom. We cannot get to that or get the lid off until the pyramid is gone.
Right.
There's not enough clearance.
Right.
And Dad figured that there wasn't enough clearance, but he thought that we'd have better equipment at this point and be able to do this more efficiently than what we are.
Right.
We can't. We'll get it done. It'll take time. Yeah. There are rebar squares under the whole thing that were going to have to be chopped through, which most concrete guys then said, we can't do that. We need somebody bigger. They went to a bigger guy, and that guy said, no, we need somebody bigger. So the Troyer boys who helped me last year in getting the hatch open came up with a young man with a company with more than one young man who does have the equipment, and some of the blades that they're using are gigantic. They started out with a 24-inch grind wheel, and then they went to a 34-inch grind wheel. After they had gone so far and knew what they were dealing with, then they came back and used the bigger one.
Oh my goodness.
To saw through the rebar. So I'm standing at the door of the pyramid, which we had blocked with pot plywood several weeks ago. And I'm looking down in at what I had seen last year, and it still looked good. Everything's okay. And I could see where the grinder had come in at the top of one of the paintings on the wall. And I could see daylight. And I thought, wow, this is really a cool moment.
Yes, it
is. About 20 minutes later, we're standing there, and one of the guys said, I smell fireworks. And my youngest helper goes flying over to the door, and he says it's full of smoke.
Oh, no.
And I, of course, run over, and they get the guys over there, and they jump down in, and the sparks had come through when they hit the rebar, and it hit paper in the bottom of the capsule.
Oh, no.
So that was terrifying.
Of course.
There was a written list done by 2 local high school girls at that point in time, very detailed, and then they would put numbers on the list and numbers on the boxes they went in. Perfect. That list was gone before 1991.
Oh no.
Many of the people on the 4th of July in 1975 got receipts for what they were putting in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they very quickly were overrun by people.
Oh, sure.
And so there was a Hershey candy bar box, about this big, packed with the receipts. It was stolen out of my dad's basement between, I would say, 1995, 96, and 2000. It was stolen out of his house.
Oh, no.
When we moved in, I went down to the basement. I knew what shelf it was on, and there was an empty spot.
Oh, my goodness.
And I don't think anybody is going to show up with a full box of receipts and say, I want my stuff. Yeah, we'll see.
Yes,
and
no amnesty for that person.
I'll say, I want whatever else you took that day.
Absolutely.
Yes. Very interesting.
Yes.
But we need, those receipts would make everything so much easier because they were duplicates of what people were given. And of course, I only know of 10 receipts in existence.
Wow.
And one is a man from Pueblo, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And I had him send me a picture of it so that I knew what I was looking for.
Sure.
One lady had put it in her daughter's baby book. Smartest thing any mother could have done. And she, to my knowledge, is the only one who came up with that.
Oh, man.
So we'll do our best. That's all we can do.
Absolutely.
So on the 4th this year, we will have tables for people to fill out registration cards and provide valid ID, because we don't want to give the wrong material to the wrong person. I had an email last night, and I read this. I haven't answered her yet because I'm truly dumbfounded. I have no doubt she lived in Seward at that period of time, and her parents were associated with the college. But she not only, of course, has a different last name, she has a different first name.
Oh, goodness.
So I'm not, she says, do I need to provide a copy of my birth certificate? And I'm a bit perplexed by this one. We'll
Sure.
answer it, we'll figure it out, and hope that we can find the relevant mail to actually give it to her. When it went in 1975, it had about 5,000 people in the audience. We would expect that to be double that this year.
Sure.
And we'll see how it goes. Which brings us to the very few letters, fewer than 25, that were put in the pyramid. People had the chance 8 years later to put letters in there also. We had about 8, and I started posting them on Facebook to find the people.
Mm-hmm.
And one funny story had 4 names on the outside of this envelope, and I could tell there were something bulky inside. It turns out that the 4 names were cousins. 2 of them live in Lincoln. 2 of them live in Arkansas.
Oh, wow.
The Arkansas connection got the word first.
Oh.
And called me, and then called her cousin in Lincoln. And the cousin in Lincoln felt it was some sort of a scam.
Oh.
And I said, would you like to come pick these up? And she was sure it wasn't legit.
Yeah, right.
Positive. So she calls her brother, and her brother tells her all about the capsule and all about the pyramid. He lives in Lincoln. She didn't know about it, and he did.
Oh, my goodness.
So even in families, we don't see time
Yes.
the same way. We don't see history the same way.
Absolutely.
So the young woman came out and got the envelope and opens it, and there was a separate card for each of the 4 names that the grandmother had done and written what she wanted to tell them. So this young woman from Lincoln, who thought I was scamming her, was able to take these voices from grandma back to her adult cousins, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, what a gift.
It was. Okay, we had a package that I could tell was a cassette tape. And it had the grandmother's name, the son's name, and the son's 5 boys' names on the outside of the envelope. So I posted it, and man, one of the great-grandsons was in almost immediately.
Oh, really?
And they decided that they weren't going to play this until they were all together. And they had to find a cassette player that worked, and that was the hardest part.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm facing that today with a box of cassettes out here,
Yes.
as a matter of fact. They got together and started playing this cassette, and none of them remembered being on it, making it. It was Grandma Emma's 83rd birthday. And all of her grandsons and son were there. And Grandma said, I would like to write something to each of you boys and put it in this pyramid. I think it's a good idea. And they said, well, Grandma, we're all here. Tell us now. And so one by one, she had interviews with all of them.
Oh my
They
goodness.
sang happy birthday to her. They all spoke. And the young man who had picked up the cassette from me that day, who had gotten there so promptly, heard his father's voice, and his father died when he was a younger child.
Oh,
And he was able to hear his dad.
Wow.
That's cool.
Absolutely.
And those are things we don't think about.
No, absolutely not. And so, all of the surprises and the hardship and
Mm-hmm.
the who knows what's going to happen that you've faced. I mean, you're giving people a real gift, giving them this pieces of their past back. It's
And
incredible.
I thought it was an insane idea. One more of my dad's quirky off the wall, and I was happy you did it, but don't get me dragged in.
Yeah.
So yeah, here I am. The other really meaningful story was a single name on the outside, and I posted it, and my daughter called me immediately and said, Mom, he died.
Mhm.
Okay. I got a call from his mother, and she said, may we pick up the letter? I said, absolutely. And so the boy's mother and grandmother came in the next day, and they knew they hadn't put anything in there. So they were really being confused. And in opening this letter, there was a picture, and they looked at the letter, they flipped the letter over, looked at that, and they were dumbfounded, absolutely dumbfounded. So the mother started reading it out loud. And when she was crying too hard, the grandmother took over. She flipped it over and handed it to me, and I finished reading it for him, and we were all sobbing.
Yes.
This woman who wrote the letter would have been the grandmother of his mother. Okay, so it was his great-grandmother. And her husband had had a serious stroke, was not able to communicate well. And the young boy had developmental disabilities. And the two of them, the boy was sitting on the arm of his chair, and the two of them were having their own conversation. And the thing was that no one in the family knew that this great-grandmother had any tender feelings at all.
Sure.
She was always very stern and straightforward, and this is the way it is.
Yes.
And they found another side of her that they would have never known.
Oh my goodness.
They rewrote her history that day reading that letter.
Amazing.
So I'm hoping that happens 5,000 more times.
Yes.
And we're hoping that people are willing to have some of them documented. And Lori Schreiner has volunteered to do the writing, and we will have the ability to put them in touch if they are willing to have their stories told. Maybe they want to read the letters before they decide, but we want that to happen a million times over coming out of this capsule.
That's wonderful. On that note, is there anything that you would like anybody who happens to come across this interview, like them to know about if they think they have
if you think you've got a
material
letter,
there?
if you think you've got a letter, be in contact with us. If you can give us any helpful genealogy or addresses you might have had in 1975 versus 2025, and then give us patience. But we would love to have the information. So rather than saying, how do I get my stuff? Send me a letter with your name, your current address, your former address, and yes, we will still want to verify it in some way to be sure you're getting your very own letter. But we want them to go back to those people.
How should people contact you to reach out?
The best way to contact us is P.O. Box 465, Seward, Nebraska, 68434. The email address is a little too long to remember. So I would say doing it by mail, or contact the Chamber of Commerce, and I'm sure that Colin will be happy to give you my email address.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You bet. You bet.
Thanks,
Come back
we
again.
Really appreciate it. It was lovely meeting you.
Thank you.
All right, we are here with, where's my one? There it is. Hi there, camera. You're the one I'm looking for. We're here with Miss Stephanie Croston, the senior editor here at the Seward County Independent.
Hello.
And she's going to share a little bit. Stephanie, thank you for jumping in. We're going to just kind of talk a little bit about the time capsule from the perspective of a newspaper that's been in print from the time, well before the time capsule, obviously, and covering the whole history of it. So we'll kind of just jump in. I'm curious, as a senior editor of a paper, what has, and you've been around for a while, you've been contributing here at the Independent for a long time. What has this process been like for you from an editorial standpoint, like piecing the story together and kind of following the threads all the way through?
Well, it is a lot of following the threads, and there are a lot of threads to follow. I was not here when the time capsule was actually constructed, built, filled, buried, put in place, whatever the term is you'd like to use. I was only 4, so I hadn't even heard of Seward at the time. But when I moved here in 1998, that was one of the things that was like the first thing I was told was, hey, we're the home of the world's largest time capsule, and we're the 4th of July city. Maybe they were told different. But anyway, so I've known of the time capsule since I've been here. I've driven past it countless times because it's on the way to the school, which I spend a lot of time at school too. But just driving past it and just kind of idly wondering, well, what's in it and what kind of shape is it in? Because 50 years is a long time to be buried. So just curious what's there, what it looks like, what we're going to find when we do actually get to open it, which is going to be really cool.
Yeah, and you had a unique experience in that last 4th of July, you got to actually go inside of the pyramid that was on top.
Right.
What was that like?
Kind of weird. They had obviously cleared everything out by the time they were letting people in, which was smart. But just seeing the artwork on the walls that I didn't know was there. I didn't know as much about the pyramid. That was kind of a later addition to really mark the spot of the time capsule. So just walking in and seeing the pictures that were on the walls that had been painted on the walls and were still there. Some were kind of curling a little bit. Obviously, moisture had gotten in and kind of damaged the paint somewhat. But just to see the picture of the buffalo stampeding across the plains, which is painted above the doorway, that was really cool. There's a train painted on the wall. Just the different scenes that people who were selected as the artists came in and left their mark on the inside of this pyramid. And some of them were here last year to see how their artwork had survived, which was really kind of cool.
Very cool. From an editorial perspective, what's been kind of one of what's been something that surprised you in covering this whole project, or something that you kind of came up that you didn't expect in the history of it?
Just the fact that it exists.
Yeah.
You hear of time capsules for classes at school. They'll write a letter to themselves 20 years from now, and they'll put in some coins and maybe a copy of the newspaper. And hopefully there are copies of the newspaper from 1975 in the time capsule. If there's not, I'm going to be really disappointed. We'll have to go back in time and fix that.
Yes.
But just knowing what a time capsule is, but most of them that you know about are like a little shoebox or a canning jar or something small that 25 items are in, and nothing bigger than a newspaper or a book or coins or something like that, where this has a car in it, for crying out loud. Who comes up with that?
The scale is ambitious and impressive.
Exactly. So, and there's a motorcycle too. So you've got a car and a motorcycle. So whatever type of conveyance you would like to use is there for you. So, that's unique too. To be able to see what people felt was important 50 years ago is always interesting. Like I said, I was 4 when this happened, so I don't really remember 1975. Yes, I existed, but I don't remember it. So to see the condition of the items that are in there, I know the hope is that everything is in good shape, that you can read the letters, the playbills, the advertising, whatever is in there, that the car will still run. I know that's a hope that Harold Davison had. that you pull it out, put some gas in it, off you go. I don't know if that's going to be the case. There might be some work that needs to be done. Right. But just to see what's in there and to maybe talk to some of the people who were there when it was installed, when it was buried and sealed up, and then the pyramid was built later, and all of those pieces, to see them all come apart and then come back together again at the end, I think will be really cool.
Yeah. So as someone who is, in the community and working on the stories about the community, do you have a personal sense for what does the Time Capsule Project mean to people?
I think it's really important. I think people had forgotten about it.
Sure.
50 years is a long time to remember something, but now that it's back kind of at the forefront of public consciousness, people are talking about it again. We did a series, one of our freelancers talked to some people who had put items in the time capsule, and talked to them a little bit about what was it and why was that important to you to put in there. We were able to talk to a mom and daughter who had actually signed the car that was in the pyramid. So that's pretty cool. In fact, the daughter is a state senator. So Danielle Conrad.
Wow.
And her mom, Stephanie Nankis, brought her to sign the car. So got to talk to both of them, which, that's a unique thing too, to have families being a part of this whole celebration coming up. I know people are excited to see how their stuff survived.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be really neat to be able to see what it's like and like I said, talk to some of those people and what do they remember about that day, when they were installing the time capsule and putting everything in. And I'm sure it was a huge production. It would have had to have been because from what I know about Harold Davison, he didn't go small.
Right.
It was go big or go home for him. So I'm sure there were TV cameras and obviously newspapers and lots of people.
Yeah.
So I'm anticipating something similar here in less than a month.
Yeah. That's kind of my last question for you is what's the 4th going to look like for you and for what the Seward County Independent is kind of planning for that day?
We haven't really thought that far ahead.
All right. Fair enough. What do you hope it'll be like?
We had to get our preview section out, which is in this week's paper, so make sure you pick one up. Shameless plug. But I'm looking forward to being up there, just feeling the excitement because I know it'll be exciting. Whatever things look like, it's still going to be exciting. To have Trish there, remembering what that initial day was like, that first day in 1975 was like, all of the time that's passed since then, all of the things that have happened since then, that all of the stuff that's in this time capsule has no idea because it's been isolated, it's been sequestered, if you will, for 50 years. So when it sees the light of day, to imagine what that car is thinking, what that motorcycle is thinking. I know that the ad that Davisons have run for the last 50 years includes some predictions for 2025. And one of them was, which I would love to see this, but unfortunately it hasn't happened yet, a rocket demolition derby.
Oh.
I think that would be totally awesome.
You just combined 3 of my favorite words.
Phenomenal photos.
Yes.
And, to talk to the rocket drivers and, how are you getting your rocket ready to go? And what are you doing differently this year?
Yeah.
I wish that had happened. That would have been totally
very
awesome.
Cool.
But, so, just to imagine what those items would be thinking if they were sentient, about what 2025 would be like for them. And to, not that we do this, but to put words in their mouths.
Mm-hmm.
What would the car say when it's brought out? What would the motorcycle say? What would the newspaper say? What would the box of coins or whatever else is in there? What would they say? What would they be expecting to see? And what do they see? And what would they be disappointed? Would they be thrilled with what they saw? I don't know. I think that part, the imagination part of it, is kind of fun to play with a little bit.
I think you just storyboarded the next Pixar movie.
You're welcome.
I think if Pixar starts, if you see it come up, she should get a cut.
I get royalties, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Off the top. Don't take the back
exactly.
end. Go off the top.
Right.
Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
We're all looking forward to seeing what happens. But thank you so much, and wish you luck on your covered on the 4th.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks. And that concludes the second episode of Discover Seward County. We want to say a special thanks to Trish Davisson-Johnson for providing us the information that she gave us and for sitting down with us, taking some time out of what is a very busy time for her. So we're very special thanks to Trish. We want to, as always, thank Pat and JJ, especially this time, for consuming what could probably be considered an inhumane amount of caffeine. JJ had the caffeine. Pat mostly drank ice cream, but that's okay. It still counts. It's still good. So we thank them for the time they put into going around for Battle of the Brews. And then we also just want to continue to thank you, our listeners and our viewers, for joining us. We hope you learned something. We hope you have a great rest of your time. Take care of yourselves, and if you can, take care of somebody else. We want to finish with a big shout out to our sponsors for this episode: Sweet Tea Marketing, the Seward County Visitors Bureau, Hughes Brothers, Union Bank and Trust, GBE, and PetSource. We'll see you next time.